whenever you start drumming, and I'll introduce you afterwards.
Cool.
Aho.
Oh,
Thank you, goddess. It was beautiful. That was really
so
beautiful. I was laughing because I think I saw in a video that I just watched you do, it said, "Oh my goddess." I was like, that's a great one. I'm gonna start using that. Welcome to the Dharma journey, Nicole. So grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for beating your drum and sharing your prayers. It was really beautiful.
thank you so much for having me. It's always good to do these things and share with community, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
virtual community. And I met Nicole not so long ago, actually. We were in a womb healing session that she was facilitating a group of us. It was a friend of ours' birthday, and she did this incredible ceremony, and I felt super connected. And on that day, I came on my moon, which was like 3 days. It was at 3 days out, and I came on my moon 3 days early, and I was like, wow, this is super powerful. Like, and I think I wanted to invite you on is really, I know so many women that are in the world and are struggling potentially with womb issues, yoni issues, and something that I'm really passionate about teaching in my own work as well, like yoni steaming and connecting back to that feminine. And I know that's something that you share, and you are a big advocate for as an empowerment and cosmic cheerleader, and working with women yourself. And I saw this kind of like resemblance of you and and I felt like you're a little bit older than me, but you're such a goddess. And I thought, this is someone that I look up to in terms of like what you're doing and how you're sharing your gifts. And yeah, I really value that. So I'm excited to hear your story and share with some ladies out there who want to learn about a bit more about your medicine and what you bring
Yeah.
to this world.
Well, I have actually a very funky story about my own moon time and how I came into it. And I think this is what made me so passionate over the years. So when I was 14, my left hand was x-rayed, and they said, your daughter, said that to my mom, your daughter's going to be super tall. She's going to be over 7 feet or over to 2 meters tall. And my mom was like, no, 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 we can't let that happen. So I went through 1.5 years of hormone therapy. And with that hormone therapy, I got a special mix of hormones that brought on my moon time chemically. So I never came into my moon naturally, organically, as it like flowed. It
Mm.
was the weirdest thing to have the exact day when my moon was gonna show up.
Wow.
So coming into it that way, really at that point when I was 14, helped me to understand how precious, how important, how beautiful, how misunderstood our blood is, you know? So
Mm.
back then I was like, that this needs to change in the world. I'm like one of these true indigos, like I'm gonna make that change. And here I am, like, for 30 years later going like,
I love it. No, I think I shared a quite a vulnerable story in the ceremony. Like I remember when I was a kid and I didn't have my moon and everyone else did, and I kind of pretended to my mom that I had it because I wanted to be like everyone else. And um, now I feel like it's such a taboo topic that we don't talk about that often, and it's something that I really wanted to share on this kind of podcast a little bit about kind of that connection to the feminine, and maybe why so many of us are suppressing it in that masculine energy and how that's affecting our cycles and our hormones and ultimately our creativity because it's so connected. So maybe you could share a little bit about your kind of understanding of the womb and the yoni and how it's all connected to our.
I mean, it's like one of the most precious things ever. Our portal of creation, of expression, of sexuality, of sensuality, of creativity, of poof. I mean, where do we even begin? But I feel like when we as women come back into like this embracing of the blood and being okay, not just okay, but loving that we are women and that we are the only beings on this earth that can create life. How amazing is that? Not a man can do that. We are put on this planet to create, but beyond that, the blood magic that comes with it is all about manifestation. It's about protection. It's about alignment. It's about health, vitality, longevity. I mean, the things that go in there are endless potentialities. It's just like what I see right now in general with humanity, that women have fallen out of sync with the seasons and with the cycles of the earth. So just like the earth cycles, through spring, summer, fall, and winter, we do that as women as well. So when we are mooning, when we're bleeding, we are in winter. We're supposed to rest. We're supposed to go and retreat to the red tent, chill out. If you have an epic boyfriend or husband, let them nurture you, bring you all the good things, maybe some cacao or some good yummy foods, and just let them fan you. Okay, maybe not, but you know what I'm saying. It's the time for rest. And then when we try to create and force each other or ourselves and be that masculine driver, that go, 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 and I have to do, 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 we're going so against ourselves. We're burning all of our reserves out. We're burning out our kidneys, our adrenal glands, our liver is not functioning properly when we do these things. And for me, this a lot of women that mentor with me, this is where we start with the cycle. Like, where are you with your cycle? Like, are you embracing this part of you, or is it a taboo? Is it something that you've been pushed away for a very long time and you don't, it's embarrassing, and the way you were introduced to it was not cool, and you never felt connected to it, and it's uncomfortable and it's inconvenient, and there's so much to be said here. But the moment we come into the space of respect and embrace, everything shifts. Everything. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if women want to like up level their business and their love relationship, I'm like, get in sync with your moon cycle, girlfriend, because this is where the juice is. Like, do you want to up level your business to 5 figures a month? Get in sync with your cycle.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, it's powerful. I've been working with I would say blood magic for a little bit now since I've been learning about it. And I mean, even just telling people I put it on my skin, they kind of freak out and they're like, "That's so gross." But I'm like, the stem cells that are in there is like super powerful, and people always say I have pretty good skin, so I owe it to that. But I mean, in terms of manifestation, maybe you can share a little bit about that kind of witchy stuff. And I know it might be far fetched for people listening, but I ask you to stay open and explore the potentiality that you can. It's not that you have to do this; it's just the potential that you can experience. Your creativity energy and bringing in what you want to achieve and receive.
Mm-hmm. So this also depends on where you're bleeding. Are you bleeding with the full moon or the new moon? You know, I like to work with the seasons and the moon time. So I'm bleeding usually on the new moon, which is automatically that portal of like bringing in energy, bringing in intention, bringing in what you want to manifest for the coming cycle.
Right.
But if you are in summer, you know, so if you're ovulating, this is your summertime, it's a great time to understand what you're doing, why you're here, what your passion is, your purpose for the next cycle, and what's important to take seriously, and what's discernment, what's good to take seriously and what's good to release. So if we work with the blood in a way that we honor the blood, this starts with giving your blood back to the earth when you're bleeding. That's a big one. In my family, I use a cup, and my little girl, you know, she's going to turn 9 next week. She takes my blood and she blesses the frangipani tree,
Oh.
the banana tree, and the other tree. And she's like, this is for my mama, and this is only given with unconditional love and blessings. And I think it comes full circle. You know, one of the elders I worked with from the Celtic shamanic tradition, she told me the moment you pour your blood into the earth with intention, you're actually giving permission to all women of the earth bleeding that it's okay to be woman, that it's safe to express yourself, that it's okay to have a voice and to speak your truth, that we don't hide anymore, that we're not ostracized anymore for being woman or for being powerful. So it's pretty big one, which also goes back to how are we treating our little girls when it comes to all that, you know? But back to the manifestation powers is anything we do with great intention and devotion, there's big magic and big power behind that. So if you pour your blood into the earth saying, I'm letting go of this cycle of shame, guilt, judgment against myself or whoever, and you're bringing in these new codes of what you want to bring in very intentionally. I want to bring in 5-figure months. I want to bring in new aligned clients. I want to bring in great sisterhood. I want to bring in this lover, whatever it is. That's everything. You know, pouring your heart and soul into what you're doing instead of like, oh God, let's get another tampon, you know, and plug it up. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's powerful. I think like it's beautiful that your daughter already at such a young age has that connection, even though she hasn't started her moon yet. But yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to not shame us for this bleed every month that normally we try and hide. And it's like obviously what we hide, I feel like it eventually will keep knocking on the door. Maybe it's going to get louder and louder. And I know so many women I work with, and I'm sure you too, experience premenstrual issues, cysts, fibroids, endometriosis, PCOS. There's like array. Like I think so many women are experiencing reproductive issues, and it's really sad to hear that so many women are so um, lost touch, with their cycle due to IUDs, implants, and hormonal birth control. Do you notice like the correlation between a woman's creative potential and versus someone that's disconnected from their cycle?
oh my goodness. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Absolutely. And starting with myself, you know, I used to be really disconnected from that part because I came into it in such an awkward way and so weird. And growing up in Germany, everything was so proper and so, and it took me like, I would say probably 15 years into my cycle to make peace with it. No, I was around 29. It was a long freaking time to understand, like, it's okay. It's powerful. So what I see in my clients that have gained, I have one mentoree and she came into our mentorship with zero awareness around her moon, really nothing. And now after 3.5 months, she's not only gained total awareness, and her creative spark back. So she's starting to paint, she's starting to draw, she's doing all these mood boards, and she's singing, and she's doing all these things. But she has totally up-leveled her business. And that's the awareness of her moon. Where is she in the cycle? Where's her day, day 5, day 1, where is she? And just having this connection piece of, Nicole, I'm in day 15 and I'm going crazy with energy. What do I do with all this expressive energy? I'm like, dance, sing, create, bring it out there. And when you know how to utilize it, it's a powerful thing. Like, one thing I talk about a lot is the week before your cycle, your moon starts. It's probably the most powerful week of the whole cycle. I call it a psychic moon, because that week is when we call it PMS in the Western world, which I think is bullshit, to be honest. The psychic moon week is when everything dials down into your body. Everything your ancestors did or didn't do, anything you've missed that cycle, anything you didn't look at, anything you dismissed, anything you didn't want to know about, comes right back for another round and goes, hello, I'm right here. What do you think of this now? And that's when we get grumpy, moody, sensitive, angry, hungry, because we're still not in connection. So once women are connected back into their cycle, that PMS is gone. They know that it's psychic moon time, and they need to honor that time, and they need to honor how psychic they are as well, how connected they are to other realms and spaces, and give themselves permission for being insightful and intuitive and witchy, and not be like, oh my God, I cannot be, I must take a pill, no. So yeah, I see huge connections in every way. And when women come together during that time, like in the olden days, the red tent time, when they're bleeding, wow, that's magic.
Yeah.
Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like every time I'm bleeding, I get that intuitive insight of who to bring onto the podcast, like who I think would be a really good fit. And then in my ovulation, I record all the podcasts because I've got the most energy, my space is symmetrical, my voice is the best, so I kind of like, now I start to play to those strengths instead of, and actually be in alignment. And it helps your business so much because you're not going against nature, which is all about Ayurveda. It's like going with nature, going, the flow of nature. And I think there's something I really wanted to speak about as well, is this empowerment piece, because I know that you're empowering women through your work and helping them, return back to their authentic self, which I feel like we can only do when we are embodying that, and something that I really see that you embody. And it's something that I've struggled with is having this, like, wanting to really empower women and really bring them to that authentic self, but then also having that shame or having that judgment of other women, or being in competition with other women, and having that kind of the shadow side of my quality come up, but having that light, also wanting to be the empowerment person that I know I can be. How has that worked in your journey of, like, if you had to go through a lot of those shifts to kind of peel those layers back of separation that hold us back from true connection?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I have. I grew up with a extremely borderline mom, narcissistic mother, who kept me away from people. She kept me away from friends, from people. The world was evil. That was my message growing up. So I learned early that I couldn't trust anybody, including myself, that the world was bad. So peeling back those layers, I mean, not everybody is going to grow up like this, but there's a deep imprint in humanity, especially women in sisterhood, where that competition and that backstabbing and and I'm better than you, and look at me, and look at this, and I'm skinnier, and I'm more, I don't have wrinkles yet, and look at this, and blah blah blah. One of the many reasons why I never did Botox, never colored my hair, don't do my nails crazy, none of that shit anymore, because I'm like, it is done. And I come from an industry after growing up of acting and modeling. I was an international model for 20 years. So the pressure there was extremely high. And peeling back the layers took time. It took a lot of being brutally honest with myself. So one things I like to do is when I feel judgment or comparison against anyone, not just a sister, but especially a sister, is I ask myself, and I talk to my shadow, and I say, Shadow, what is my motivation behind feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? Do I know this woman? No, I don't. Why do I feel like I need to judge her? Why do I need to feel that I need to compare myself with her right now? Where is it coming from? And this is a great exercise I actually share with everybody I work with, is you can have open conversations with your shadow. You know, all you do is like, Shadow, what is happening? Tell me. And the shadow piece is beautiful. It's a part of us that knows us the longest, the deepest, the most authentic, the most grounded. Do we want to hear it? Maybe not, you know, because it's like brutally honest. Because you're still comparing yourself, because you're still scared of people. Okay, thanks. Yeah. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of mass programming in women that we need to compare and keep separate from each other, because this came in through the churches and through the olden patriarchal ways. Why? To keep us separate so we're not so powerful. We're so much more powerful together. So if we put, you know, a circle of women together, you know how powerful that can be. So what do? They separate everyone and say, she's bad, she's that. That came through the witch hunts and all that already, you know, and that's just 150 years ago. It's not that long ago. So it started back then. The empowerment piece for me came through understanding, first of all, that I actually wanted to be on Earth. That was a big thing. There was a long time in my life where I didn't want to be here. I wasn't grounded in my body. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel it was safe to be heard and seen. And that's probably the most common thing I hear now. Oh, I can't do it because I don't feel safe. I'm scared. You know, I'm scared, and I'm contracted in my throat. I'm contracted in my womb. It's like this. Oh, so that actually comes from imprinting of the olden days. So I work a lot with past life regression and things like that, because I actually want to go in and dissolve these old things that are holding us back. So the moment women gain understanding of why they are so afraid and what's been holding them back, they can make the connection that it doesn't have to keep going this way, that they have a choice. I think that's the biggest way. And it comes with practice, with time, giving yourself permission to shine, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I noticed something I'm really working on at the moment is that when that shadow of judgment comes to another sister, especially, is like where in it myself, or that inner child is in me is feeling fear or feeling vulnerable or feeling helpless, that I need to project and protect myself ultimately, and then causing that further separation, which is not what we're here to do. Is we're here to remember that oneness and remember that unity. And whenever I've collaborated with women like yourself and with other beautiful women in my work, I feel like it's a healing for me, because I see how powerful we are when we come together, and actually creating more abundance for ourselves in all different areas than having to do it all by ourselves and kind of holding, wanting to keep everything for ourselves. And I mean, I lived with three sisters, so I've definitely, that sisterhood was always like super close, but always very competitive as well. So that's something that's definitely been a part of my kind of inner healing journey. And I would love to share, is there anything you've, obviously being a international model, that was quite, I don't know, were you on like what's that thing in Germany, next top model, Germany's next top model?
No, I was part of the magazine that came out that was called L Top Model. I was on that and in that, and I
Wow.
lived in New York City for a while, working
Wow.
for the best agencies and doing the runway shows and doing all of that. And honestly, what an initiation to go through that.
Yeah.
I don't wish it up on anyone. No. I was 19 when I lived by myself in New York. It almost killed me. I was anorexic, I was sick, I was disconnected from my body, from my wishes, from my true self. The sisterhood wound was huge because there was so much competition. If she gets the job, I don't, you know. And I lived together with 10 other girls in a tiny apartment. So also, hello, it's not luxurious. No, 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 it's not. Especially if you're not one of those, you know, $20,000 a day models, that you're just like somewhere in the middle there. It's the other side of the fame and the sparkles. Yeah. The biggest thing is I work a lot with, I used to work a ton with forgiveness, self-forgiveness. And to be quite honest, I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe in self-forgiveness, to be super honest. Because why? When we say, oh, I forgive you or I forgive myself, I imply that I know better and that there is duality, that there's good and bad, and I know what that good and bad is. So for me, that's like, who am I to say that that's that? Maybe for you, that's totally different. So I like to look at acceptance. If I just make peace with it and accept that that was shit and that wasn't good, then I can draw a clear line in the sand and start fresh instead of always having this shadow of forgiveness hanging over me. Yes, I forgive you. It just doesn't work. So for me, a lot of acceptance, you know. Was that all cool what happened back then? What I had to go through, self-initiating over and over, being suicidal, being anorexic, being disconnected, having no friends because I'm so sensitive, you know, and everybody thought that I was weird for feeling so much and being such an empath. No, but it's interesting that even when that threat comes from the outside world, we often still feel it's our own fault. It's us.
Yeah.
So the self-accepting piece, I'm human, I make mistakes, that's why I'm here. I'm not taking myself so seriously. This is supposed to be fun. So the good thing is it gets a lot easier when you get older. I love being in my 40s now. I'm like, woohoo, I passed that grid. Yeah.
I love it, and you're doing it with so much grace and fun, and that's what I love. I think we can't take ourselves too seriously, and the moment that we do, we've lost that sass, you know.
How many malas are around your head, and how many times are you doing pranayamas, and how many Wim Hofs are you doing, and how many yoga certifications do you have? It doesn't make you spiritual. It
Mm,
just makes you qualified, you
mm,
know.
yeah.
But it's about living life. That's the most spiritual act we can do, I feel. Yeah.
My partner's probably my biggest spiritual teacher. He says that every time we go to the beach, and he's like, you know, be here, be now, and just having that, you know, we're going on a walk on the beach and just kind of forgetting, you know, all of the things that we need to do and to be, and you know, just being alive in the present moment is really, I think, the biggest gift we can give ourselves. Something I have to remind myself of all the time. Even like when I'm in a podcast like now, it's like I'm listening to you, and then I'm also like, oh, what question shall I have next? And but then I'm kind of losing the present, so I trust that like my intuition will guide me to the kind of the next question. And you know, I used to be very controlling and write out every question. I didn't leave any room for this like flow, this feminine essence, and I think that's really what we're here to do, is bring that flow and, you know, more connection to ourselves and others. And I would love to, for the listeners that don't know what womb healing is, and how maybe a womb session, healing session, looks like kind of the one we went together, maybe you can share a little bit about the process of what goes into it and kind of the energy that you bring into it, and also maybe where you learned it from. Like I know you said you worked with some Native American tribes. I would love to learn a bit more about that. It sounds really cool.
Yes, so I got super interested in womb healing because my mom had uterine cancer. And I got super curious then, like, how does that, you know, where does it come from? Where does it stem? And it brought me back to the connection of womb and throat. The non-ability to speak our truth, to be authentic to who we are. And everything that is not healed, not acknowledged, not seen, is stored in our womb. We have to remember that as women, we have two empty organs in our body, the stomach and the womb. And oftentimes you can see, like we need a fix, we grab a chocolate, we do this. But what happens in our womb? It's like this massive mystical portal that that honors and holds all history, not just of us, but our whole lineage going back 7, 8 generations. So all the trauma, all the pain, all the discord, the disconnect is moving from womb to womb, from blood cell to blood cell to DNA through the lineages, and we keep it there because it seeks the next host for transmutation and clearing. So we are keeping our mom's pain in our womb. You know, if we think about this, this is vast. It's a big, big thing. Yeah, so the womb being this mystical, magical portal that holds so much possibility and epicness, it also holds all this information. And a womb healing truly is permission to enter the womb in a metaphysical matter, in an emotional, mental matter, and remove all limitations, all imprints, all discord, all, yeah, everything that is not truly aligned to the person, to the woman. And I got connected with it through mostly the work I did with my Celtic shaman that I worked with, an elder, and also with the Native American tribe when I was initiated into the Tahltan tribe. It's a northern Canadian tribe. It's just on the border of Canada and Alaska. And I was initiated as a raven. And a raven is the trickster, is the shadow walker. So yeah, it's totally me, you know, having all Scorpio all over my chart. Like I love to go into the shadow and like decipher it and look at it and like, wow, you're cool and I can turn you into light. I know it, you know. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. I love giving permission to women to empower themselves, to understand that they have the power to turn that shadow, the darkness, the scary stuff into light, into possibility, into like, wow, into like, what? I can do that with this? Yay. So a womb healing is, I use my voice a lot, you know, like you heard me with my crazy shamanic voice. And then I use the drum because the drum is the direct connection to our womb. A shamanic medicine drum represents the womb power. I use a chalice, a crystal chalice, and I use koshi bells and chimes and a dream journey. So shamanic dream journey, a space where we travel through different worlds and times into a metaphysical space where we can deeply, deeply connect to the consciousness of our womb. And we remove anything and everything that's not supposed to be there or around there or even looking that way, and clear it, heal it, support it, protect it, and integrate it. Yeah.
I have to unmute. Yeah, I felt it in my womb space. Like I felt this like releasing, and I think I shared with you. I had my insight, my intention was to kind of like heal the womb space because I've had 2 abortions, and for anyone listening that may have experienced something similar or miscarriage, that kind of stuff, I think it's so powerful and healing to reconnect to that space because often there's a lot of shame around there. And I know I had this guilt, like, oh, you know, if I have an abortion, will I still be able to fall pregnant in the future? And I know that that was something that my intention was to clear that, you know, negativity and bring that light in. So that's something that I really love and honor about you, and it's definitely something I bring into my work as well. Is like the more that we can look at our own shadows and kind of, really shine the light on them and then love them and accept them, then we can help others with their stuff as well and guide them on that path. And yeah, it's something that I really honor. It's really beautiful.
So grateful that you're doing this work as well. It's so needed. And the timing couldn't be any better.
Mm.
Like, hello, yes, now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd love to know what like you share a little bit about like revelations of Mary Magdalene, and that's something that's like, oh, what is that? Like I know my mum speaks about that. She's a witch woman too, and I've grown up with kind of this essence in my life. So it just reminds me of home when I speak about it. But maybe you can share a little bit about like the offerings and the things that you do that, are connected to the womb, but also other things that you kind of share as well.
Right. Yes, we're starting on Sunday. We're starting a 6-week journey called Codes of Magdalene, and it's called Sacred Sexual Alchemy. So what we're going to go through, we're going to initiate and activate the inner powers of our inner sexual portal, basically. How we can utilize that to manifest, to activate our light body, to strengthen our physical body, to align with our emotional body and release shadow and debris from our ancestral lineage. So that's all in the sexual alchemy piece. When people hear that, they think, oh, Tantra and all sexy and that. No, it's actually like a full on ritualistic A, B, C, D, E thing that we learn that we can utilize our whole life and then grow with that and grow old with that and stay young with that in the bigger long term. There's no Botox needed when you align yourself with your serpents rising up your spine, and you know how to work them. Mary Magdalene has been a huge piece of my life. She was really an ambassador and a way shower and such an epic human in bringing unconditional love onto our planet. She also was the one who helped Yeshua, Jesus, to prepare for his resurrection, literally. Without her, he couldn't have done that. There would have been no availability for him. So these are some of the things that we look at and that I share. And the other thing that I'm really passionate about as well is abundance. So abundance in every way, abundance, usually people think, oh, money. It's not just money, it's everything. It's who you are, it's your purpose, your passion. It's honing in on your true existence. Why are you here, and what are you doing with that? Are you making the best out of your potential? Are you asking for more, or are you content with what is? And that's as good as it gets. So abundance is a big thing that I love to work with in an energetic way, in a shadowy way. And for me, the shadow is all about potential. Shadow is my best friend. Shadow's gotten such a bad rap, and it's literally our higher self in disguise showing us the way. So I work a lot with shadow dancing and things like that. So yeah, people always joke when they look at my Calendly, because they're like, I don't know which session to choose. You have so much friggin' going on, and what do I even start with? Yes, because over the years I was fortunate to learn a lot from many different people. And so I work, with the Magdalene codes. I work with light language. I work with healing. I work with light work. When people say I want to be a light worker, I want to do planetary service, I teach them how to do that, protected, safe, aligned. Not this like, oh, fluffy here and pendulum there and oracle cards there. No, like really aligned in like a shamanic nature, in unison with the elements and directions and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's almost like sharing ancient wisdom. That's another one that I really love doing, is sharing wisdom from timeless wisdom from indigenous cultures and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love that because my partner always says to me, he's like, Brian, you just have so many things going on. Like you have your woman circles, your workshops, your one-on-ones, your podcast. And I was like, yeah, but that's just we call it in Ayurveda like vata, the kind of the creative ether like realms that we're just, like you said, you get these insights. You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And sometimes I can be really impulsive and I connect with that because I totally get that. It's like sometimes my lesson is to actually say no and be like, actually no, I'm doing too much at once, even though I can do quite a lot. But it's actually sometimes very powerful to say no to certain things. How did you cultivate that um, inner Shakti to say no to the things that aren't in alignment? Like how do you tune in? For example, I invited you onto this podcast. How did you tune in to be like, oh yeah, that resonates with me compared to maybe something else that didn't or hasn't?
It's funny that you bring that up because literally, 10, 20 years ago, I was the one who was like, yes, 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 yes. And then I would have some time to think about it and I would be like, no, 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 no. Why did I do that? That doesn't feel good.
Mm,
What do I do? As first of all, I give myself space. So if there's an opportunity coming my way, then I tune in, I give myself time, I use my breath. I'm also breathwork facilitator. So for me, I use my breath to actually connect with my heart and see if this is in alignment. Does it feel good in my body to do this? Does it feel good in my body to share this? Yes or no?
mm,
And I always joke because for me, there's no maybe. It's a fuck yes or a fuck no. There's no this like, oh yeah, maybe. No. That's something we have learned as a people pleasing skill. But if it's not a full body yes, then it's probably a no.
mm,
So tuning into the breath, giving yourself space, going into nature, stand on some grass, take some breaths, put one hand on your heart, one on your womb, and just see, body, how does this feel? Does it feel good to do this? Yes or no? So I always bring it back to the body, the intuition, the somatics. And I'm Vata as well. So I'm all here. Wee, so I need to bring it in. I need to bring it into the ground, literally. Get my hands dirty, get into the earth, put my feet in water, put my feet in mud, and just go like, okay, I'm grounded now. Now what? Okay, it's still a yes. Cool. Yeah. So just practical steps.
yeah, no, I like that. I think that's really valid because some people, I've definitely got that people pleasing. I want to help everyone, and then I realize that it's like, oh, I don't have that, and then I feel like the life force energy that I haven't got that creative potential. Whereas when it's something that I'm passionate about, it's like I can have all of my energy in that. And whew, you spoke about the abundance piece. Is something I really would love to maybe touch on as well. Just how you can what do you think limits us from abundance, not just in money terms, but in opportunities and experiences that I think, because sometimes we can be, I would say, good at manifesting certain things and then lacking in the money area or vice versa. What do you think blocks our ability to receive?
I think there's a couple of things there. Oftentimes, what I see with people is that they haven't even figured out what they want to do in this world. They're still in that boat of like, yeah, that's cool, and maybe that's me, but they haven't gotten to the piece of this is really what I live for. This is what I like get up for in the morning. This is what I could do all day without getting paid. Is that passion? So I bring it home to that passion piece. What is it that you're here for that you can create forever and ever and would be always joyful about? Yes, we go through this as well, but if I think about my work, oh my God, I could do this in my sleep. I love it so much. So if now I have to think, oh, you have to go back to retail, I would die. If I think about like this like duality there, I'm like, oh my God. So the other piece is the conditioning and the mindsets and how we grew up around, let's say, money mindset. How is money handled in your world, in your life? What is your relationship with money? If you look at it like a lover, what's your relationship with money? No, we can have honest conversations around that. Money, my relationship with you? Am I being respectful? Do I acknowledge you? Do I take you for granted? Am I scared of you? So there's a lot of tainting over generations of how money is viewed. Money doesn't grow on trees. We have to work hard to play hard, right? All these notions. And then it's like we are this big computer system and we just suck it up and we just take it and we just download it. And then we bring it out into the world. Yes, this is what I've learned. And now we wonder why we can't bring abundance. And it's because we're still running the old Windows 95 program. It's not working. Yeah. So it's about releasing the programs, releasing the old mindsets, the conditioning, the bullshit, making space for some new and just bringing in the gold, bringing in the juice, bringing in the possibility, the clean slate, the fresh canvas. Like, let's just start fresh. No, I grew up in a family that was super in scarcity mindset, and nobody actually except my dad, he was a teacher, but nobody else really worked in their passion. They all did what they thought they had to do to make money and to survive and to put a roof over the head and to have food on the table. I'm the one who works my passion, and I regularly make 5 figures a month. And
Mm,
people look at me like, are you for real? I'm like, yes, it's because I love what I do. I
mm,
love it, and the sky's the limit. One of my mantras is, what else is possible? I never say, whoa, that's as good as it gets. I always say, show me, universe, what else is possible? Surprise me. Come on.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really believe that. I always, my mantra is when I choose high vibrational choices, I attract high vibrational experiences. And
absolutely.
that's like, for me, it's like when I'm in alignment in terms of my health and my relationship, I'm that vessel for, that vibration for other things to come in, like with its opportunity, people, experiences, money, and I think I noticed in my own life when I've like had this belief of like I'm not worthy of money, or I know I did a hypnosis around money because I also grew up in a very scarcity mindset growing up, single parent. That was my programming, my story, and having to do a lot of work to move beyond that. And I did a hypnosis, and it was like I remember picking up money off the floor when I was a kid, curious. And I think someone told me like, "Oh, that's so dirty. Don't do that." And then I've had this programming of like money is dirty. And then in my some of you guys know when I was living in Australia, I was backpacking. I was kind of a topless waitress, like bikini kind of waitress, and obviously I received money through men and through kind of being, in this like this area of like I would say lower vibration, but it definitely wasn't my highest purpose calling. But it got me to so many great experiences, like same probably with you modeling, and but I always had that subconscious belief that I'm dirty for receiving this money, so it blocked so much of my abundant capacities because of that belief of not feeling worthy. So yeah, it's something that I feel is really great that you teach and you share. It's something that I'm really learning in my life how to really embody that, and trust. I think that's the biggest one, is trust that we're always supported.
Absolutely. And make the matrix work for you.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it, embrace it. Like, money is the currency of our earth, and we can do so many beautiful things with it. When COVID hit, my family and I, we supported 650 Balinese families, and that was due to our money energy that we made with our passion. So
Mm.
how is that not epic? You utilizing that money and giving it, paying it forward, giving it to somebody who's less fortunate. Amazing.
Yeah, and
That's the
I
idea.
remember you said at the beginning that about the drums. Maybe you could share with any of the listeners that like your drum a little bit about the drum. I'd love to.
Yes. So the shamanic drums, I have a beautiful village that I support in North Ubud, and they hand make shamanic medicine drums. But I took it to a new level when I asked them if they can paint them for me. So yes, they can paint pretty much any image on them, and it's a way for me to give back and to support this village, which consists of like 150 people. And by selling them internationally, I can keep supporting them. So
Mm,
it's a beautiful thing. And I have to say that these drums hold such beautiful energy. They feel super wise and just like, I love them. Yes.
mm.
So people come to me and say, do you think they can paint this on a drum? And it's always like, yes, of course they
Oh
can.
yeah.
3 days, give it 3 days, you have it next week. So
Wow. I have this one. This is like my kind of. Oh, it's quite heavy. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a drum, but
singing drum, yes.
yeah, I want to learn to play the hand drum. That's like my next thing. But I'd love to get. I definitely want. I love the drum that you have. I really think it is like the womb, isn't it? Like that beat of creation, like that. So
if
powerful.
if, if women get stuck in a journey and they feel like they don't get to their empowerment, I give them a drum and I
Mm,
say, you're going to practice that drum 1 hour every day and start toning with it and roaring with it and growling with it and singing with it, and let me know.
wow.
And by the end of that week, they're always like, wow, I feel so powerful. I'm like, exactly, because you're in tune with your womb now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
attune with your wound. Oh, I love that. I remember when I was in Ubud and I did this a bufo frog medicine, and the woman that I was there, I just had to get out a raw, and she gave me this dragon crystal, and I was like, rah, like, and it was getting louder and louder, and I felt so. It was like that shame of expressing my raw. It was ridiculous. Like I was like, I wanted to just scream and roar and just like have this like energy come out that I was afraid to roar. So she gave me this crystal to help me, and it really did actually help. So
Amazing.
yeah, no,
Yes.
I love that, and I think so many women need to be able to feel confident to express themselves and to share their voice and their truth and their boundaries and singing and dancing, and yeah, it's such
All
powerful.
Like adult tantrums is one of my favorite things in the world. Is having a full blown 3-year old tantrum as an adult,
Hmm.
you know? Because most of us were not allowed to do that. There was like, Psh, don't be so loud, and what's wrong with you? Stop crying. And if we do that now, when we feel, let's say, sadness or anger, and we let it out full force,
Hmm.
wow, it makes so much space. So much. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
You're getting it out. You're not suppressing it. I often do that. I go rah, like when I'm really annoyed. I go rah and like roar when I'm by myself, and it does feel good. It feels like yeah.
Hey, exactly. Bring out that tiger and that lioness, like,
Show me your roar. Go on, give me a roar. Rah,
"Rah!"
rah. And if anyone listening, you got to do this roar, okay? It is a good roar. I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. I've loved chatting to you and connecting, and I'm sure we're gonna connect further. You have
Absolutely.
some beautiful
Yeah.
offerings, and yeah, how can everyone connect with you? What's the best way to connect? Is it Instagram? I can put all your things on the show notes, but if there's anything else that I've missed
In-
out.
Instagram is definitely a good portal for me. That's where I'm most active, Soulful Nomad Mama. And then I'm just in the middle of building a big platform. So that's going to be live in hopefully a month.
Wow.
Modern Medicine Woman. And that's membership areas, online courses, all of it. But
Woo!
yeah, yep, Instagram. And then from there, Calendly is the best way. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for your medicine and for your voice and just sharing your love with us. I loved it. Mwah.
Absolutely. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
for listening, and we'll see you next on the Dharma journey. And don't forget to roar. Let it out.
Roar away, women. Yes.
Rah!
Thank you.